Welcome to the Time for a Reset podcast, the podcast where I, Paul Frampton, interview senior marketers on the big issues of the day and the thing that they want to see reset with an ever-changing landscape. Welcome back to another episode of Time for a Reset. This afternoon, I'm delighted to be joined by Mark Nicholson. Mark is currently head of online for O2. He's been in charge of online, digital, however you like to call it, two of the country's biggest kind of organisations and biggest marketing spenders. So delighted to have Mark here today on the podcast. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me.
So I thought maybe what would be helpful first is if you could explain like what falls into your remit as head of online. From our earlier conversations, you've obviously spent your entire career in the digital and marketing space and kind of cut across both of those aspects. So I'd love to explore in a little bit how you see those two coming together and how things are changing from the respect of the different disciplines. They obviously coalesce and join in certain ways, but they're also separate. So could you maybe just spend a minute or so just explaining the extent of your remit at Sky? At O2. That's a good start.
No problem. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm responsible for our digital business at O2. So that cuts across B2C and B2B. What that effectively encompasses is the commercial side of the business. So responsible for all sales and revenue going through the website and app. All of our self-service KPIs, so that's how many people are using our digital channels and the kind of tasks and actions within. I'm also responsible for the content and merchandising across the websites and the UX and design and copy, as well as the analytics and optimization of those and our kind of personalization programs as well. And yes, all of our kind of self-service journeys and also product development or online delivery, however you like to call it. So yeah, broad remit across the digital operating model. There are some really strong connections in with marketing and also other kind of areas and departments. So if I just touch on one of those first,
yeah,
or a couple of those. So we work obviously very closely with IT in terms of developing our digital experiences across the web and app, and also our artificial intelligence iterations, as well as with third parties who provide a number of products and services on the website and app. With regards to some of our operational partners, we work closely with them in terms of running our web chat and messaging programs.
Yeah.
And from a marketing department perspective, completely symbiotic relationship, I would say, in many regards across creative development, proposition development, branding across the website, sort of customer relationship management through digital channels, and obviously the kind of commercial performance as well. So yes, some very, very sort of strong interrelationships between digital and our other departments, marketing in particular.
Great. Well, maybe we'll come back and explore that in a little bit more detail in a second. So we always start with trying to understand what is it that the individual would like to reset around the industry at large or the sector that they're in. So I'd love to hear your kind of view on what you'd like to hit reset on, and then we'll take the rest of the interview from there.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's a great time to hit reset on evaluating how digital and marketing can work together to drive the next phase of growth and evolution of customer experience. Obviously, number of reasons to kind of reevaluate plans and directions and strategies at the moment. So I think it's it's an opportune time to think about how we can kind of really work together to push next phase of growth forward. And as customers increasingly interact through digital channels, the broader influence digital can play from a customer experience perspective as well.
Yeah, That makes a lot of sense. And how, I mean, how do you think about kind of joining the customer experience piece across digital marketing? You obviously talked about the fact that it's very symbiotic, work very closely together.
Yeah.
I mean, often you see brands that say one thing in their advertising and their website has a slightly different messaging, and then the reality on social media with customer service can be somewhat different. So how do you try and O2, to be fair, is very good at this. I mean, they've always been good at connecting kind of brand all the way through to offers and drive. So I'm interested about how you create that consistency across customer experience.
Yeah. So I think in terms of how we sort of execute and land campaigns, then I suppose it's interesting the way you've kind of put the question there, because just thinking about it, ever since I've been at O2, and even when I was at Sky before, we always tend to think about campaigns in a very joined up end-to-end fashion. So I suppose in that regard, it's sort of that's part of the fabric of the way we try to bring things to life. So in terms of when a kind of proposition is designed, to how the how it's built across channels, but especially in digital from my perspective, and then what all the potential touch points are all the way through the customer journey. And if you just think about it from a pure sort of creative and campaign perspective, how can we make sure that we're landing a message in a consistent way across all touch points, be that whether it's in social or display advertising or some offline media, all the way through to how we how we would land traffic on the website and through the funnel, and then into some of the other assisted service channels, such as you can message us through a number, through our website and through our app. You can chat to us as well if you're on desktop, and you can give us a ring or go into store. So we try and drive everything together. All the creative development is cross-channel, multi-channel, or meant to be very, very joined up. For instance, within my team, we develop the digital creative in collaboration with our agency and our marketing colleagues, but also the digital screens in stores, as well as the point of sale as well. So in that regard,
that's smart.
We really do try and make
get some
the experience
consistency through the line. No, that makes sense. And obviously you run the online team, you've got the tech IT team, like you're saying, you've got the marketing team. Do you find that you kind of put like agile squads of people together to deliver on projects, or is there always very clear roles and responsibilities between the two, or the three even? Because I hear a lot, and I've heard on this podcast, that maybe the marketing team haven't done enough in the last kind of 5 to 10 years around leaning in on technology and some of the systems and the tools and the focus on retention and customer journey. They focused a little bit too much on the find new customers and build awareness and consideration. So I'm really interested around how you see kind of the collaboration between those three different teams.
Yeah, okay. So I think in terms of just picking up on a couple of points there around, acquisition and sort of existing customer engagement, I think, for O2, we've always been, sort of very focused on our customers and customer experience. And, we have a loyal customer base that we try and look after and take care of. And yes, acquisition is incredibly important to us, but so is engagement of our existing customers, and offering the right sort of experiences for managing your account, or getting help, or or buying additional products and services from us, and managing those products as well. So my O2 is a very important channel for our customers and important for us, and we've over time built a lot of capability and journeys into it that support some of those broader use cases beyond acquisition that you've talked about. I think in terms of technology and innovation and working on projects and propositions together, So I guess the way we tend to do it is we try and we'll work with our colleagues who are developing propositions and campaigns at a concepting
Yeah,
phase. So we'll try and influence and bring sort of insights and expertise as as sort of early on in the kind of concepting period as possible, and then sort of as the proposition, idea, or campaign develops, just continue to sort of work through that. And obviously, within digital, we can do things such as test concepts quite
yeah,
quickly through A/B testing, or get rapid customer feedback through analytics or through survey tools or things like that. So all these sorts of things help hone a proposition or a campaign to be more customer needs led. And that, I think, is a really good point of common ground between digital
yeah,
and marketing, just being 110% focused on the customer, and making sure that your experiences that you design, be those creative or in media or on the website or through the app, are as customer led as possible. And when you think about digital journeys and digital formats, then you've not got a lot to play with sometimes when you're interacting with a customer on a mobile screen. So you've got to make sure that the experience or the proposition that you're designing is suitable for articulating in those small screen formats, and that's a really important join up from a design perspective between digital and marketing.
yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I have a couple of builds or questions on that. So, as you said, I mean, with the customer base that you have and Sky, your previous employer, had, I suppose there's such a huge scale of customers that want to interact in an omni-channel way, whichever they want, that you've built very kind of strong account my O2 kind of my Sky type propositions. If you're a brand that maybe doesn't have quite that same breadth of customers, like when you look at marketers per se, do you think there is enough focus on the retention, the loyalty, the engagement? I think you've just explained that at your business that's a really key thing, and O2 pioneered that, I guess, quite a few years ago in terms of offering the same deals to existing customers rather than new. But there are still quite a lot of businesses, particularly D2C businesses, that are new, that really just focus on net new, and you look at some of their churn rates and they're pretty horrendous. So I just wondered your view of the overall market. Do you think that there is work to do in that space in the industry, or do you think the whole of the industry is moving towards this more customer centricity?
I think everyone aspires to it,
Yeah,
and makes
makes
good
lots of
efforts.
noises about it.
Yeah. But I think there's more to do, and you can always be more customer centric, more customer driven, and I'd kind of encourage everyone to just be sort of as focused on the customer, as customer led as possible, to deliver those great experiences. I think if you are in a growth phase, you haven't got a huge customer base just yet, then yes, inevitably there will be more of a focus probably on acquisition and bringing customers in. But once you've got that customer engaged with your brand, whether it's 100,000, that it's important to look after them, understand what they need,
Absolutely. I mean,
engage with them. So and that's
I
your
quite
future
often,
revenue streams as well. So I agree with you in the respect that there are instances when you can be more focused on, or when organizations can be sort of focused on bringing that new business in, and of course that's important. But if you're not engaging that customer that you've acquired yesterday or the week before, and you're not giving them a good experience, and they're not going to be a customer of yours for very long. So you've definitely got to be applying equal, if not greater, emphasis on engaging your existing customers in addition to acquiring new ones.
Well said. It often amazes me some of the time you get a brief from let's not name the marketer or the marketing department, which is all about spending a huge amount of money on a new campaign, and then you look at the churn rates in the business, particularly in some of the utility businesses and in insurance, where, let's face it, maybe the customer experience once you've actually signed up, because it's an annual premium as opposed to an ongoing relationship, is somewhat poor. So I think your advice there is extremely sound, and particularly in the environment we're in, right? I mean, I think a lot of brands are being questioned and caught out if they're not actually doing things to be engaged with their customers. People are rationalizing what they spend at this point when a lot of people are on furlough or whatever else. And when you start rationalizing, you really look towards the brands where you feel like you've got some kind of connection and you get value from them. So I think that's really good advice for people.
100%.
And what about like, now we touch on COVID briefly, we can't really not, unfortunately. Like, how has that changed your team's focus? I mean, are you accelerating more towards selling more online and D2C, or what are you doing differently as a result of COVID now, where I guess pretty much almost 6 months into it? What's changed?
So I think one of the interesting things that, you know, for us as sort of marketers or digital folk to sort of think about is we're in a whole new world at the moment. So things that may have been true or beliefs, you know, 6 months, a year ago are not the case any longer. So you've got to, this has never happened before, and the consequences haven't therefore happened before, or the way people will you know, behave or interact hasn't happened before. So therefore you've got to be cognizant of that and sort of let go of some old beliefs, let's say, and be adaptable and be open to change and be able to kind of pivot quickly. And, you know, some of the things that we've kind of seen and responded to, you know, have been unexpected. And you've got to, you know, but if you've got your processes and tools set up in the right way to be able to understand what is happening and what your customers need quickly, then, and you're agile enough to be able to adapt quickly, then that's kind of really, really important. So have we started out with the same, are we, you know, the kind of same plan that we started the year with? No. Are our numbers and performance different from this time last year? Yes, absolutely. Has our strategy that we've kind of been focused on and executed changed? Not hugely, but been flexible enough to adapt and pivot. But yeah, the world has changed massively. So for us in digital, obviously there was more customers coming online during the peak of COVID. So it was important for us to make sure that we could handle that traffic and we were surfacing the right journeys in a kind of easy way where customers needed help or advice, and giving them the right sort of content. So you know, it's a very sort of busy time, as you can imagine, and lots of learnings along the way. But I think the main way in which we have adapted, and a kind of lesson or a bit of advice that I'd kind of give to a lot of people, is the world's changed. We've not seen it before, and therefore we just need to learn, and we need to adapt, and we need to listen to our customers and respond to what they need and want from us.
Yeah, definitely good advice. And I mean, you touched on, either you've actually called it out, or you've touched on the principle of, I guess, agility and being analytical, very data driven. Clearly the marketing industry as a whole and the discipline is moving much more heavily towards data and technology, marketing technology, of which I'm sure you have lots within the business, increasingly connections to advertising technology, where you can then find your existing customers and talk to them in a more meaningful way, or find new customers that look like your existing customers. What do you get excited about in terms of going back to your reset point, that how you can deliver better customer experience within touch points that may be off of your website. Because of course, when you're on your website, and especially if you know customers, they're logged in, you can do a great deal there. But often within advertising, it's all been, you don't know, half the time. And Sky obviously threw a lot of money at the market because it was trying to reach everyone at a high frequency. What do you get excited about with data and technology to maybe address audiences in a more meaningful way going forward?
Yes, I think the opportunity to be increasingly relevant for customers is sort of one of the things that excites me, and I just think there's a lot of opportunity or runway ahead of us as an industry to become more and more relevant and more engaging to our customers. Done in the right way, done in a nice way, that adds value to them as well. So, we are, I guess one of the things that I'm sure has come across in the in our chat so far has been how we do just try and be insight led in terms of the experiences we deliver, and those not just about how we design new products and experiences, but it's how we merchandise, it's how we the messages that we offer to customers in media, it's how we can inform some of those customer experience designs that are in some of our other channels as well. And I think there's a great opportunity for us to be more joined up as an industry, and to look at a customer from more of a sort of 360-degree perspective, so that we're giving them a relevant and joined up experience regardless of the touch point they choose to interact with us in. And I think we're making some headway as a kind of broad industry, but I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and that's an area that really kind of excites me, because it's very customer led, right? If you be more relevant, more engaging, and offer the right sort of messages, content, propositions at the right sort of time, then your customers will respond positively to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how do you navigate like all of the new opportunities in terms of marketing technology? I think I read Scott Brinker's latest report said something like there's 8,000 different companies in the martech Lumascale space. So it must be quite challenging for you. I mean, there's always a new e-com platform launching or a new marketing automation platform launching. Like, how do you encourage your teams to keep abreast but not get too kind of like lost and distracted by all the new technology?
Bogged down in it, yeah. So what we do is we regularly scan the environment for trends, insights, new tech, and just because it's new doesn't mean it's right or relevant. So we tend to try and sort of rank or categorize new tech and innovation based on a number of different criteria, such as its maturity, its relevance, its potential impact for us as a business and for customers. So we're not about trialing or putting in tech for tech's sake. For us, it's got to be right, and it's got to be evaluated. It's got to be something that our kind of customers want, or we think they will want. Once we've done that filtering, then there's obviously a choice whether you build something yourself or whether you work with a partner to do that. But regardless of which way you go with that, then our next sort of step is to test it. So we test pretty much everything in the digital business through kind of A/B testing or some form of broader monitoring or evaluation. So if the new tech has sort of passed all of those kind of checks and balances, then we'll run it in life. We'll see how it performs, and if based on the analytics, it's performing well, then
you scale it up. You
build from there. You see if you can tweak, optimize, provide a little bit of qualitative insight around it, maybe. And then you scale, and once you are at scale, then you just look at sort of product roadmaps, you look at optimization opportunities, and you build from there. So these things don't always work or pan out, but that's why it's important to test and trial things.
Test and learn and fail fast, I guess, right? Because
Exactly.
as you say, not everything's going to work. And do you, and this isn't a question around O2, it's just a question around marketing as a discipline. Do you feel that the marketing discipline is moving quickly enough to that agility, test and learn, fail fast method? Because that's much more of a tech kind of online IT culture, in honesty, isn't it? Like, do you think the marketing industry is moving quickly enough to that type of way of doing things? Because it's very possible pretty much in any spends that you put into market today to do the same thing.
I think there's some really good examples out there, and I think it's a different way of working, and it's important to trial that as well to see whether it works for your business. You can, I suppose, work in those sorts of agile projects for particular things that you're trying to launch or prove or evaluate. You can do so going after specific business opportunities or challenges and see if you can sort of get to the bottom of those quite quickly. But yes, I see increasing examples of cross-functional teams coming together to work on a particular project.
But still work to do, right?
Still work to do, yeah. And I think if it's right for the company and it's right for the types of things that you're trying to do, then definitely, I'd encourage organisations to sort of give it a try, and test that way of working itself and see whether you can optimize it, and try different things. It may not work first time, but keep going, try it 2-3 times, see if you can get it working for you. And if it does, great. Grow it, optimize it, scale it. And if it doesn't, then maybe it's not the right way of working. But
right.
I think there's definitely a lot of merit in it.
Well, I think you just answered one of my questions, which was some advice you'd give to other marketers. So I won't ask you that again, because I think you've just given some great advice. Instead, maybe Mark, what we'll finish on is the question around your personal commitment. I always think it's quite nice to hear what someone that is influential in a business and in the industry is doing and commits to doing differently themselves to elevate, I guess, the digital and marketing agenda more at the board level. Obviously, marketing's always been pretty well regarded at O2 and has had backing from Ronan and Mark and everything else. But I'm sure sometimes there's cynicism around whether they need to spend on certain things. So how do you go about, or what do you commit to doing differently to help your agenda around growth and customer experience?
So I think the way I sort of just try to do things is just be led by the insight, I guess. And if there is a case for growth or a case for doing something differently, then you pull together a kind of compelling argument or a compelling case, but a data-driven case, and hopefully you can get support for those initiatives. And and generally I would say I'd say that we do. And I think from one of the benefits for me of working in digital, I kind of love what I do, and I wouldn't have been doing it for many years if I didn't, is that opportunity to continually sort of innovate and drive forward and grow. So I think the role that I can play in, and people in other sort of some of my peers in kind of other companies or industries is continue to put on the table those ideas, those opportunities to engage customers to a greater extent, and opportunities for growth, because they are out there. Sometimes they're not sort of always easy choices, or there's you need to invest or do some things in a bit of a different way. But I think it's incumbent on people in digital to do that, and to kind of keep putting those proposals and options out on the table. And if they can be framed around why they benefit the customer, then I think that's what it's got to start with. So that's
excellent.
my commitment and some advice that
I like it. No, I like it a lot. And everything you say, I love. It's got a really commercial lens to it around using data or evidence to back up why you think something should be invested in. Always thinking around how you test and learn with technology or a new approach rather than just jumping all in. I think there's some great advice that you've given the listeners around how to construct and to use insight and data to support your own gut instincts, but also to guide your advice to the leadership team about where to go. So Mark, it's been extremely insightful. So I'm very grateful to you. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem at all. Thanks very much.
Thank you for tuning into this latest podcast. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. We'll be back again very soon, interviewing a senior marketer and understanding what they would like to reset in the marketing industry. In the meantime, if you want to check out me, you can find me on Twitter, Paul_Framp, and you can find my new business, which is a hybrid marketing consultancy helping with in-housing, digital strategy and marketing attribution at controlvexposed.co.uk, on Twitter under CVE, or on LinkedIn under ControlVExposed. Look forward to you coming back next time and having more interesting conversations. Thank you.